Here's a truth nobody says out loud. What makes a character unforgettable is usually their brain, but what makes us love them is usually the complete absence of one. And no studio understands this better than DreamWorks. Some of these characters blow us away with pure intelligence, chess players in a world of checkers. And some look like total idiots but turn out to be way smarter than we ever gave them credit for. That's the game today. I'm lining up the sharpest minds DreamWorks ever created against the absolute densest ones, and we're settling this properly. 10 geniuses, 9 glorious disasters. And I'll warn you right now, the smart list has a villain or two that might surprise you, and the dumb list ends with a character who is, medically speaking, unbeatable. If you grew up on these movies and you've ever argued about cartoon characters at 2 in the morning, you're home. Hit subscribe, because this channel does exactly this kind of nonsense every single week. Alright, big brains first. And we're opening the genius wing with a professional. Mr. Wolf, from The Bad Guys. The man plans heists the way composers write symphonies. Every guard's coffee break, every camera angle, every escape route, memorized, timed, choreographed. The opening bank job in that movie is basically a magic trick with a getaway car. But here's what actually puts him on this list. When the plan collapses, Wolf doesn't collapse with it. He rewrites it live, mid-chase, like a quarterback calling audibles. That's the real test of a smart character. Anyone can follow a plan. Geniuses improvise. And his boldest play isn't even a heist, it's the pivot. The moment Wolf realizes the good guy act could be the longest con of all, and then the con accidentally becomes real. Reading the room that well, twice, in 2 opposite directions, that's elite. Next up, waddling in from Madagascar, Skipper. And look, I know he's a penguin the size of a bowling pin, but this bird operates like he's got 3 military academies in his back pocket. Plan B ready, Plan C ready. Plan D involves a spoon and questionable morals, and it also works. These penguins hijacked and flew a broken airplane using teamwork and pure audacity. Skipper turns any object within reach into either a weapon or an exit strategy. My favorite detail? He treats every situation, including brunch, like a hostage negotiation. The man holds a personal grudge against the entire city of Copenhagen and refuses to explain it, which tells me there's a classified backstory we'll never get, and I respect that completely. And his crown jewel of strategy is 4 words. Smile and wave, boys. That's misdirection, discipline, and psychological warfare compressed into a single beach photo. Paranoid? Absolutely. Wrong? Almost never. And that combination is rarer than you'd think. From military intelligence to mad science, Dr. Cockroach, monsters versus aliens. The man has a PhD and he will remind you. Sure, his greatest experiment turned him into a giant bug, which sounds like a fail. But watch what he does with alien technology he has never seen before. He rewires an entire spaceship's systems in minutes, while dancing. I need you to appreciate that. Dancing. This is what happens when genius stops caring what anyone thinks. Okay, now the list gets spicy, because the next genius is a villain, and honestly she might be the scariest one DreamWorks ever made. The fairy godmother, Shrek 2. Forget wands and sparkles. This woman runs a potion factory, an industrial empire built on bottled happiness. She has a kingdom's royal family in her pocket. She manufactures desire itself, and she does all of it behind the warmest smile you've ever seen. She's not a witch, she's a corporation with wings. And the deep lore makes her even scarier. Remember King Harold? The whole reason he's a king at all is one of her potions. The man was literally a frog she upgraded into royalty, which means she's owned him since before Fiona was born. Decades. The woman planted a favor a generation early and collected the debt at exactly the right moment. Every move she makes is 3 steps ahead, planting her son as the prince, blackmailing a king who owes her everything, weaponizing a love potion like it's company product. And by the way, since we're in this universe, I have to say it, I think Shrek 2 is the best Shrek film, period. Some of you swear by the first one, a few unhinged people say the third. I genuinely want to know where you stand on this, so drop your ranking in the comments because this debate keeps me up at night. And speaking of villains hiding behind cuteness, Professor Marmalade, the bad guys, a tiny guinea pig, fluffy, adorable, hands out humanitarian awards, and underneath all of it, the single most devious criminal mind in that entire movie. The twist works because Marmalade understood something brilliant. In a world judging everyone by appearance, looking harmless is the ultimate weapon. The wolf gets blamed while the hamster robs the city blind. That's not luck. That's a thesis on public perception, executed flawlessly by something that fits in a teacup. Now, the character I'd call the most underrated legal mind in animation history, Rumpelstiltskin Shrek Forever After. This little goblin doesn't fight anybody, he hands them paperwork. One signature, one hidden clause, and he rewrites an entire timeline, erases Shrek from existence, takes over a kingdom, all through a contract. The man weaponized fine print. Think about how insane that is. Every other villain builds armies and towers. Rumpel builds loopholes. And the detail that seals his genius, he's been waiting for that signature for years. He was minutes away from getting Harold and Lillian to sign the kingdom away before Fiona got rescued and ruined it. So when a midlife crisis ogre wanders into his carriage decades later, Rumpel doesn't get lucky. He recognizes the exact customer he's been shelving a contract for and closes the deal in one conversation. And it very nearly worked, because the exit clause was hidden where nobody rational would look. I'm honestly a little afraid of him. Time for the heroes to fight back. Hiccup, How to Train Your Dragon. A skinny kid in a village where the entire economy is hitting things with axes, and he changes the world with a notebook. While every Viking for 7 generations screamed at dragons, Hiccup observed them, studied flight patterns, figured out dragon behavior nobody had cracked in 300 years. And then he engineered a prosthetic tail fin so precise that he and a Night Fury fly as one body. That's not bravery. That's the scientific method wearing a fur vest. And my favorite Hiccup moment isn't even a flight scene. It's him in the kill ring, dropping his weapon, because he'd figured out something no Viking ever bothered to test. The dragons were never the aggressors. Every legend his people built their whole culture on, and this kid quietly disproves it with observation and an outstretched hand. The whole war ends because one teenager chose curiosity over tradition. If you ask me, that's the most quietly revolutionary arc DreamWorks ever wrote, almost at the summit now. Megamind. And the beautiful irony of this blue maniac is that he's a certified super genius who was wrong about the one thing that mattered, himself. The man builds a functioning artificial hero from a DNA strand, holographic disguises, death rays, a robot army. His inventions are decades ahead of anything on that planet. He literally manufactures a replacement superhero when the city loses its old one, grows him, trains him, builds him a backstory. It goes horribly wrong, but the fact that it was possible is the point. His only design flaw was believing his own label. He spent years being the villain because a school playground decided it, and the moment he finally questions that, he becomes the hero the city never had. Genius-level brain, late-blooming heart. I adore him. Second place, and it hurts to rank him this high knowing he's a dog. Mr. Peabody, Nobel laureate, Olympic medalist, business titan, inventor of an actual working time machine which he built, casually, to bond with his adopted son. The WABAC machine breaks physics, and Peabody treats it like a minivan. Every historical crisis, the French Revolution, ancient Egypt, the Trojan War, he strolls through with a plan and a terrible pun. And the puns are a power move, by the way. When you're that smart, you can afford to be corny. A dog legally adopted a human boy by out-arguing the court system. His argument was, if a boy can adopt a dog, I see no reason why a dog cannot adopt a boy, and the judge simply agreed. Flawless. Show me another resume like that. And the crown. The summit. The single smartest being DreamWorks has ever animated. Master Oogway. And here's why he beats a time-traveling dog. Everyone else on this list is smart within the moment. Oogway plays a game measured in centuries. He invented Kung Fu itself. He sees betrayal decades before it happens, chooses a giant noodle-loving panda as the ultimate warrior when the whole world calls it an accident, and every ridiculous-looking choice he makes turns out to be exactly right years later, like a chess move finally landing. There are no accidents, he says, and the entire franchise spends 3 movies proving him correct. He sensed Tai Lung's escape from across the country, in his sleep, through a vision. He spent his final years next to a peach tree, planting seeds he knew he'd never see grow, because the plan was never about him. Even his exit is a chess move. He leaves exactly when the student needs to stand alone. That's not intelligence anymore, that's wisdom so deep it looks like magic. Nobody on this list is touching the turtle. Nobody. Alright, deep breath. That was the honor roll. If you're enjoying this, tap subscribe real quick, because what comes next is the reason this video exists. We now descend, floor by floor, into the glorious basement of the DreamWorks IQ chart. And I have to be honest with you, I love these characters more. Ranking geniuses is respect. Ranking these next ones is pure joy. We start our descent with a lie detector who cannot lie. Pinocchio, Shrek, the boy has a built-in polygraph attached to his face. That is a superpower. A card player would sell a kidney for it. And what does he do with this gift? He panics. Instantly. Every single time. One guard asks him one question, and within seconds, the entire escape plan is exposed along with what kind of underwear he's wearing. He has the tool and absolutely no idea it's a tool. That's a special category of dumb, gifted, and completely unaware of it. Next floor down. Whitey flushed away. A henchman the size of a refrigerator, working for the most evil toad in the sewers, and he's got the soul of a golden retriever. This rat is genuinely too nice to understand the crimes he's participating in. His boss says sinister things and Whitey nods along like it's a weather report. Villainy requires at least a little malice. Whitey has none. 0. He's a getaway driver who'd stop at every red light. I want to protect him. Now, a personal grudge of mine. Prince Charming, Shrek 2 and 3. This man is what happens when you give someone a jawline instead of a personality. On his own, Charming cannot execute a single plan from start to finish. His mommy, the fairy godmother, remember her from the smart list, and yes, the gap between mother and son is the funniest thing in this franchise, does every ounce of actual thinking. The moment she's gone, his grand evil scheme becomes, wait for it, community dinner theater. He kidnaps a kingdom, and his big move is a stage play where he casts himself as the hero. Imagine inheriting a criminal empire and choosing amateur drama. Devastating. And the cherry on top, he loses a sword fight to the theater props. The backdrop falls on him. The single most cinematic defeat in the franchise, and it's delivered by set decoration. Down another floor, back to the Stone Age. Thunk, the Crudes. And listen, the bar in the Stone Age is already on the ground and Thunk still trips over it. This is a boy who finds a snake wrapped around his leg and names it. Cause and effect are strangers to him. Danger approaches and Thunk's brain sends the signal to wave at it. But there's an innocence to him that makes it art. He's not making bad decisions. He's not making decisions at all. Life just happens to Thunk, and he narrates it, delighted. My favorite data point, the family invents the concept of a pet, and Thunk bonds with a crocodile dog by getting repeatedly bitten and calling it friendship. He might be the happiest character in this whole video, and I refuse to examine what that means. And now, royalty. King Julian, the self-crowned lord of the lemurs. And I say self-crowned because no functioning government would allow this. Julian lives in a reality of his own construction, where he is beloved, brilliant, and always right, while the actual world burns politely around him. His solution to a predator crisis was to sacrifice his most loyal subject to a volcano god. That was the plan. That was the thought-through version. And the man dances through all of it with total confidence, which honestly might be the secret to happiness. And don't think that irony is lost on me. Julian is proof that confidence and competence are two completely different products. And where there's a mad king, there's his most devoted subject. Mort, the tiny wide-eyed thing forever lunging at Julian's feet. And I've thought about this way too long. Mort has no survival instinct. None. Pain doesn't register. Danger doesn't register. Sharks, explosions, being launched off a cliff, it all lands on him like light rain, and he comes back smiling. The only signal his brain reliably produces is a psychotic, all-consuming love for the royal feet, and the feet belong to a king who regularly tries to feed him to things. Think about that relationship for a second. His whole worldview is one obsession and zero self-preservation, and somehow he's outlived every dangerous thing on that island. There's a version of this where Mort is secretly unkillable, and that's genuinely scarier than anything on the smart list. Okay, confession time, because the next one is personal. Hammy, over the hedge. And I need to say this on the record, Hammy might be my favorite DreamWorks character, full stop. Not favorite dumb character, favorite character period. This squirrel's attention span is measured in milliseconds. He forgets a plan while it's being explained to him. His brain is a browser with 900 tabs open and all of them are playing a different song. And yet, give this creature one energy drink, and he moves so fast that time itself stops, and he casually strolls through a frozen world and solves the entire finale of the movie. The dumbest character in the film breaks the laws of physics. I think about this constantly. Hammy is what happens when the universe gives all its processing power to one department, and that department is speed. The cookie obsession, the imaginary friend arguments, the fact that he once got distracted by his own tail mid-mission, all of it is chaos, and all of it is perfect. If you disagree with this pick being my favorite, I respect you, and you're wrong. Second to last. And this one's different, because this one's genuinely a little scary. Hal Stewart, Titan, Megamind. Here's the most dangerous combination in fiction. Godlike power, teenage brain. Megamind hands this man the abilities of a super being. Flight, strength, invincibility, and Hal's imagination for what to do with it goes exactly as far as impressing a girl who said no, and smashing things when it doesn't work. Zero vision, zero growth, zero curiosity. Every other dumb character on this list is harmless. Hal is what happens when dumb gets a promotion, and the movie knows it, because the scariest villain DreamWorks ever wrote isn't a mastermind. It's a guy who peeked in his own head and got handed the sun. Genuinely put yourself there for a second. Someone you rejected, suddenly unstoppable. That's a horror movie. And finally, the basement of the basement. The undisputed, unbeatable, biologically certified champion of this entire list. B.O.B. Monsters vs. Aliens. And I want to be scientifically precise here. B.O.B. does not have a brain. This is canon. It is stated in the movie. There is no organ, there is no hardware. The blue gelatin operates on pure vibes and occasional hunger. He forgets how to breathe, which is impressive, because he doesn't need to breathe. He falls in love with a plate of lime jello, and, as far as I know, never fully lets go of that relationship. Every other character on this list makes bad decisions. B.O.B. is not aware decisions exist. He once had a full conversation with a wall. He mistook himself for the enemy. He needs to be reminded, mid-mission, what the mission is, and sometimes what HE is. And here's the twist that makes him perfect. He's also indestructible, endlessly happy, and everyone loves him. No brain, no problems, no damage. Meanwhile, Oogway needed 1,000 years of meditation to reach inner peace, and B.O.B. was just born there. So tell me honestly, between those two, who actually won? And that, right there, is the thought I want to leave you with. The smartest character DreamWorks ever made spent centuries mastering the universe. The dumbest one achieved the same peace by having no idea the universe exists. Somewhere between Oogway's mountain and B.O.B.'s jello plate, there's a lesson about life, and I refuse to figure out which end of it I'm on. One last thought before the verdicts, because it's been bugging me this whole video. Notice how the smart list is full of villains and the dumb list is full of heroes' best friends. That's not a coincidence. DreamWorks keeps telling us the same quiet joke. Brains chase power and hearts chase snacks. And somehow the snack team keeps winning the movies. So, verdicts all of you. Who got ranked wrong? Who did I miss? Is Julian secretly a genius? Is Hammy the greatest character this studio ever made? Say yes. And of course, the big one, best Shrek movie, one answer, defend it. Comments below, I read every single one and I argue back, it's a whole thing. Subscribe if this earned it, send it to the friend whose brain works exactly like Hammy's, and take care of yourselves out there. Because DreamWorks figured out the real secret a long time ago. Brains make a character impressive, but a little beautiful stupidity, that's what makes them immortal.